Sports anime. The only genre that makes us weebs feel like we can become professional level athletes in a month's time. The only genre that can create such a basic story a toddler could write it and we would fiend over it. The only genre that has a good, a better, and an absolutely horrendous. Ashi is a great sports anime. I could even argue it's the best new one we've had in a while. It has so many things right, like how it explains the sport in a way that the audience goes on a journey with Aoi as if they're training with him and going through the process of learning themselves. There's also a gaping story-breaking plot hole is Aoi would have never made the Esperian youth team in real life, because why would a professional youth team spend time, money, and effort on a kid doesn't even know the basics just to catch them up to the rest of the players that they have when they can spend the same time, money, and effort on another kid and raise their level of play even higher so they can give a greater player to their parent team. But I mean, this is anime, so he went ahead and made the team and then developed his skills at the speed of light, so it all worked out. But Awashi's great. I even compare it to Haikyuu. It doesn't stick too close to reality of the sport that it comes off boring if you're not a player of the sport. Love all play. And it doesn't exaggerate the abilities like making them so fast they disappear or shooting full court shots at 95% accuracy like Kurako's basketball. It also takes its time to explain everything that Aoi is learning so you can grasp the concept of how far Aoi has come and see the leaps and bounds that he's making, and also see the disparity between the other players like Kurabashi that's playing professionally despite being so close to Aoi's age. The show also doesn't explain anything that Aoi himself doesn't understand. The show does a great job at keeping the audience at the same knowledge level as Aoi so they can experience everything along with him, like how he angers his teammates because of his ignorance to the basic concepts of soccer, to then show him grasping the concept of the triangle and then explains it to the audience. Or how the show has Aoi doing counter movement instinctually but doesn't explain it because Aoi himself doesn't realize he's doing anything special, so you, the audience, don't think anything of it either. Just like how you might not be thinking about subscribing, but if you're enjoying the video so far, I'd greatly appreciate it if you did. But only someone with a soccer background would have realized that counter movement was actually happening just by watching, which is why I give props to the author Yugo Kobayashi, not to be confused with the player Kuribayashi, and also not to be confused with the professional soccer player or the professional badminton player that also is called Yugo Kobayashi. And if it is the same person, then wow, he's a really talented individual. But if he isn't the same person, then he did a lot of research into soccer, let alone the entire story. Besides all the fantastic, minute, and large-scale soccer details that was put into this story, it's actually a pretty straightforward thing to grasp onto. Aoi's a backwoods player who gets his unique talent recognized and is invited to try out for the Esperian youth team in Tokyo. He attends the tryouts, makes the teams, and then realizes the greatness and the skill gap between him and the rest of his teammates. So he has to start from square one and drill the basics into himself to near perfection just to catch up to everybody else. Then once he started to grasp everything and really find his place in the team, he was told to learn the fullback position, and then he wasn't going to play until he did. Which is where we are currently, is him trying to learn how to play defense and become a playmaker instead of a striker that finishes off the play. There's not a lot of complexity to this show either, because outside of Aoi, no other character has had any development besides maybe Asari and Kuroda, and that's a stretch, I'd say, because all they did was stop being mad at Aoi for being a dumpster fire at soccer because Aoi had developed and gotten better. The only thing that any of the side characters do, in my opinion, are really just aid Aoi's journey to the top and provide basically anything needed to push the story along or comedic breaks. I'm making Aoshi sound really bland and basic, but that's because it doesn't do anything extra than it has to do to make a great, compelling soccer story that once it pulls you in, it's not letting you go, and I'd say the 100,000 people that follow it on MAL will agree with that statement. Personally, I'm going to give this show a 9 out of 10, but that's coming from a soccer player that can see the tiny, minute soccer details and really appreciate the things that aren't being explained, whereas a non-soccer player may not have the knowledge to pick up on those smaller details and aren't going to enjoy them as much if they do. Overall, Aoshi is just a great, simplistic story. The character development's very on the low end, but the way every character is written just to aid Aoi along his development works out really well. The simplistic style makes it very easy to kick back and watch. All the sports stuff is explained to you in very easy layman's terms, and everything that's not explained will probably be explained at a later date when Aoi learns of it himself. That's all I got for you in this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed my review of Aoshi. Let me know what you thought about this show in the comments, especially if you're a non-soccer player. I'm really interested in your guys' thoughts. And like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.